As we step into the realm of human pain and incurable suffering, we must confront a question that lies within our conscience. Should we dare navigate the waters of legalizing euthanasia? Over the past several weeks, I've been researching the opinions surrounding this controversial topic. Now, at some point in your life, you are going to encounter somebody or yourself, possibly, who has a terminal illness or a terminal injury, and euthanasia is going to possibly be part of the discussion. Throughout this speech, I'm going to refute concerns of euthanasia being moral and ethically wrong, emphasis of palliative care, and legal implications. First, let's discuss the moral and ethical implications. Some argue that euthanasia is morally wrong under the sanctity of life, and this pretty much means that they believe intentionally ending your own life or intentionally ending a life is morally wrong. Especially holds up from a religious standpoint, where they believe that only a higher power has that sort of authority. However, I question if it's even morally acceptable to override one's own autonomy and personal choice. Euthanasia supports autonomy by allowing the individuals the right to determine their own time and manner of death, according to a 2016 Attitudes and Acceptance article by Emmanuel. Now, this Gallup poll in 2020 that I'm about to show you revealed that 66% of people agree that euthanasia should be legalized throughout the United States, should be allowed when a patient or legal representative requests it. Also, there's a lady named Miss Rim who wrote a book in 2021 regarding her experience being denied euthanasia for her husband. She stated, and I quote, that her husband's death was excruciating to witness and that no patient should suffer the indignity that her husband did. So it's very hypocritical to oppose something based on moral concerns, yet denying it just replaces those concerns with different moral concerns. And then being denied bodily autonomy in such a vulnerable state is just honestly humiliating and only adds unnecessary suffering. I mean, I can speak to this on a personal level. I grew up watching my grandma who had Alzheimer's, and pretty much my family had requested euthanasia as an option, and it was not allowed, and she pretty much withered away, and it was a very painful thing to watch. Now let's discuss a more practical and efficiency-oriented view. Some argue to emphasize palliative care instead, and they argue that it should just be improved to avoid even needing to use euthanasia. However, euthanasia allows for much better resource allocation than palliative care. According to a 2016 cost savings article by Emmanuel, approximately 25% of Medicare spending is allocated to end-of-life care, with much of this expenditure going towards the final month of the patient's life. Then in 2022, PubMed Central states that there is global concern because palliative care services are ever rising, yet there's less and less resources each year to be able to provide that sort of care. So because of this, palliative care may not be the most reliable option if the resources will eventually run out. According to the World Health Organization in 2018, it's estimated that each year around 40 million people are in need of palliative care services, yet only a very small percentage actually receive that care. So with an aging population in the US, demand for these services is only going to rise, so why not utilize euthanasia for people who qualify and want it? Finally, let's get down to legalities. Some argue there's legal issues concerning euthanasia. They say that legalizing it will lead to a slippery slope of potential abuse. However, there are countries like Belgium who have comprehensive legal frameworks and regulatory systems put in place to oversee this practice. According to the Federal Control and Evaluation Committee, in 2020, there were 2,656 reported cases of euthanasia, and all of them were reviewed to ensure that they adhered to legal criteria and safeguards set in place by Belgian law. The same source above also provided that healthcare providers performing euthanasia must maintain detailed documentation, a lengthy request process, many consultations, and even a second provider's opinion. This points out that there are systems in place that will work well to prevent abuse. Belgian law requires that such detailed exam and request and transparency throughout the whole process. Requests must be made by a competent patient or legal representative. It must be voluntary without any coercion, and all implications must be understood. At length, legalization just means that there can be good regulation. In conclusion, all these reasons I have mentioned show how euthanasia should be implemented and why it should be legalized throughout the United States. Today, I've refuted 3 types of concerns for euthanasia: moral and ethical, palliative, and legal. I urge each and every one of you to become advocates for compassionate end-of-life choices. In the end, the measure of a compassionate society lies not only in its celebration of life, but also in its dignified embrace at the end of life.